Yo, everybody. Let's get everything kind of cooked up here. Alright. Let's get everything rolling. Let's get everything together and cool, calm, and collected. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here, back with another episode of the Truth Podcast. I am your host, Neek Robinson. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. So, little backstory on what you should be expecting for the Truth Podcast here. Every other week. So, episode 1, let's just put this into perspective here. Episode 1 was a solo podcast that I did by myself. Obviously, that's what solo means. That is going to be some of the norm around here. And then episode 2 was a guest with, which was Parker Cypher. Cypher, and I wanted to just kind of clarify a few things about the podcast here. So you can expect every 2 weeks for there to be a guest live here on the Truth Podcast. So I wanted to kind of make sure that everybody wasn't confused by that or anything. So every 2 weeks we will have a guest on the Truth Podcast. So you guys can be looking forward to that. And it kind of just keeps the content fresh. So you guys can kind of look forward to a guest, or if you guys are just looking forward to like these little sit down little solo podcasts, then those will be coming in every other week as well. So if you guys want more guests, definitely hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, and let me know some people that you would like on the show, and also just any suggestions that you would have for me as well. But today so a few days ago, I put up a little question thing. Shout out to Instagram. One time, you guys can go ahead and sponsor me Instagram if you guys want to. No, I'm just kidding. But so I put up one of those little question things on Instagram. I've never really done that before, but I wanted to see. I put out. Basically, I'll put a little screenshot if you're watching visually of what I put out, but I basically put out if there are any topics that people want me to discuss, what would those kind of be? And so I got a few different results back, and something that I really wanted to talk about today that really caught my eye was from my friend Chase Sinclair that I went to middle school with. Chase is a good guy. You guys should definitely go check him out. His @name is names Chase over on Instagram. So, but Chase told me he wants to know, what is your opinion on the influence social media is having / going to have on the younger generations. Chase, I think that is a great topic to really dive into. I think that social media is a huge thing in our lives, honestly. It is honestly a blessing and a curse in a lot of different ways, to be honest with you. We are living prime, and we are living in this social media world. Our entire lives are run by social media, any which way that you look at it. But yeah, it's an interesting thing what social media kind of is nowadays. I think that when I was starting in maybe middle school, so 6th grade for me is when I first kind of got into the whole social media thing, and that was starting with Facebook. So Facebook, I really don't use that much, and I think that it is kind of like one of those outdated little social media platforms. But I mean, a lot of our parents and grandparents are on there. But yeah, I think that it was interesting how making an account of and having this online presence, it almost changes your life in a lot of different ways. It could be positive and it could be negative, I think. And I think that, for our generation, we're constantly on our phones and we are constantly watching and looking at people from afar almost. And I think that in a way it does take away from a lot of relationships and the real aspect of what life is. And that is to like build these relationships through actually speaking to people versus just meeting them online and whatnot else. I think that, that personal connection, I think, is something that has been stripped away by social media because, there are a lot of people that say if you like go out to a party or whatever, right? You go out to a party and you see somebody that you know, but you only know them from social media. So you don't know like really how to say hi, or, you just feel awkward in the situation. You don't know if you should say hi or not. And, a lot of people, they don't seize that opportunity to say hi and just to introduce themselves formally, like in front of the person, like in real life, and I think that that's sad. And then what they do, instead of introducing themselves in person, they wait until they get home or the next day and they'll message the person or something like that. And it's like, well, why couldn't you just go up to somebody and just say hi? Like, hi, my name is Nico, and, I go to this school, and just start a real conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I think that everybody's like too scared to do that almost. And we've come to this time where we're relying behind this wall of this screen, and it's very sad. I think that is kind of what the world has come to. But I think that is like one of the biggest negative flaws with the social media influence on our generation. But I think that something that is great is to really be able to spread the word of like something that you're doing. I think that, I use social media more on the aspect of a lot of business and kind of spreading out my art, and it gives me a place to actually post my art so that all my friends can see it and all the people that I know can see it, my family members, yada yada yada. But I think that aspect is cool, and I try not to let it really ruin my relationships with people. And I feel like I do have a healthy balance between social media and real life, and I think that I don't let social media be the way that I talk to everybody, if that makes sense. I think that I don't know. I think that this is a really good question. I think being in this generation, I think that it's awesome because I think that, man, I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, but I think that being in this generation, it's a little bit tough because that's all that we basically know. And I think that the kids that are a little bit younger than me, I think that it's going to be even worse, and it's going to be even tougher for them to really figure out how to make that personal connection in real life if all they know is social media, and if they're just getting iPads for when they're like 9 years old or whatever, like instead of getting a toy and whatnot else. And it's kind of stripping away from like the creativity of, and I think that kind of just segues into technology as well being given to kids at such a young age. I think that that's something that we need to control as well. But segueing back, I forgot what I was trying to say, but I think that something that's positive that can come out of social media, actually, I think, is, I meet a lot of like great people online. Like, I think that, in the past couple of years of me pushing my art out to people around the community and whatnot, I've met a lot of really great people and a lot of great artistic minds and creative people that are in Des Moines, and I can actually support their work, and and I think that allows me to kind of feed off of different people, and to give them some feedback, some constructive feedback, some positive feedback on what they're doing, So shout out to like all the local artists and everybody else, and I think that social media can be a beautiful thing on the aspect of, you're able to kind of keep up with what your friends are doing, kind of able to see what your family's doing and how they're doing and what they look like still, and it's kind of like you're going along with their journey as well, and I think that that's awesome. I think that concept behind it is dope, but it can have a lot of negative drawbacks with it as well, and I think that the biggest thing is that you have to learn to control it, otherwise it's going to control you, and I'm trying my best not to be so sucked into social media as well, but I think that I'm using it more on a business aspect of it. Like, I don't really post a lot on my personal accounts. I post a lot on my photography and videography page and all that different stuff, and then my clothing brand page and whatnot else. But other than that, it's like I don't really do a lot of personal stuff with it. I think that I really do love like the interactions and things that I see like on Twitter. I think that Twitter is like one of my favorites to kind of go to, just because I see a lot of funny stuff on there, and I really enjoy that. And I also get my news from there a lot, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I have tried to in the past couple months actually to try and just get away from it as much as possible, though. I've started just writing, which is something that I've done throughout the last probably like 5 years of my life, is writing. It's something that I've always kind of been into, but instead of spilling my feelings out onto a Twitter or an Instagram or whatnot else, I pick up a notebook, because that's what my parents would have done. They didn't have the Facebook, they didn't have the Twitter and all that different stuff, so they had to do it in a different way, or talking to an actual human being about your feelings and whatnot else, and I think that the influence that social media has on the young generations is that we're always seeking this higher value, or we're always looking to get more likes and this validation from our internet friends, if you will. Like, I don't know, I think that it's very interesting. Like, there are people that really beat themselves up about likes on their Instagram posts and all these different things, and it's like, that is so superficial. It's like, why are you so pressed about some likes on Instagram? Like, that does not make sense. Or likes on your post or retweets or whatever, and it's like, don't be in it for that. Like, it's literally like, what I think of the Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, it's kind of like just an online place for you to like always have your pictures and videos and your thoughts just out there, and you get to see your friends and stuff on interacting on there as well. I think that's what it should be. It shouldn't be anything more than that. When you post a picture, it's cool that your friends like it and everything. That's dope. It shows that they like what you posted and whatnot else, and they're giving you a little interaction. That's dope. But, you shouldn't be worried about how many likes you're receiving on it, And I think that's just, it's something that, I don't know if it's I think that the biggest thing that everybody does is you're comparing yourself to somebody else. And I think that is an absolute recipe for disaster. And you should not compare yourself to anybody else anyway, regardless of social media or not. That's just something that you can't do. You are your own being, and you're your own person, and you cannot compare yourself to anybody else. With that being said, I think that social media, if you're comparing yourself to somebody that you see on social media all the time, you're going to feel really shitty about yourself. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. You're going to feel really, really bad about yourself, because how I think of social media is it's really like a highlight reel of all of these events that people are talking about and that they're experiencing, and that to me is like, that's awesome that we get to see like these high moments of somebody's life. But with that being said, you're not seeing the low points of people's lives. You're not seeing the shit that everybody goes through. Like, we're not seeing that. If somebody doesn't want to share that, they're not going to share it. So I think that, it is very easy to compare yourself to somebody. And I think that if you do that, then you're only going to feel bad about yourself, and you're never going to be able to grow as a human being if you're too busy comparing yourself to somebody that you see online all the time, And that's not fair to really anybody that's trying to live their lives just the way that they want it. Live your life. That's all that I'm going to say, is like, just live your life the way that you want it to be lived. And, if you see somebody on Instagram that goes on a awesome vacation or has a beautiful family or whatnot, like, don't compare yourself to that. It's all going to come. Your cards will play out the way that they need to, and I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So, regardless of if my friend is traveling around the world and living this life that I'd so like to live, if that's in my cards, it'll happen. I'm not going to sit around here and say to myself, man, my life really is piss poor, and I'm just sitting here talking to a microphone and a camera, and I'm not doing anything with my life, so what the hell is the point? I'm not going to do that to myself, because I'm my own person. I'm doing this because I love doing it, and who cares what other people think, really? Like, who cares? Just do things because you really want to do it. Do things because you love it. And, if you post something on social media, share it out to the world, and don't expect anything back, because that's something that you wanted to share out. And if you don't get any likes, who cares? You posted it out, and that is there for you. That is there for you to always have, and it's always going to be online, and you're good. And, just move on from that. And, if you get a few likes, few comments, whatever, that's dope. It's an added plus, Don't don't worry about social media. That's all that I'm going to say. Don't worry about it because, everybody else is probably going through a lot of the things that you're going through as well. And, you shouldn't worry about how other people are living their lives. You should worry about the best thing, which is you and your well-being. So really, if you have anything to take away from this little podcast, it would be just stay focused on yourself, stay focused on bettering yourself, and if you feel like you're down in the dumps, make a little change in your life, spice things up, try something different, find something that you can do every day that you look forward to, and keep busy. That's what I do. I think that, I'm constantly busy, so I'm not sitting around comparing myself to anybody else. I'm not worried about what other people are doing because I'm so busy with the things that I'm doing, and I'm trying to keep myself busy. So then that keeps my mind off of everything, so, just surrounding yourself with the right people and surrounding yourself with a good mindset can really take you a long way, I think. So biggest thing would be just don't compare yourself to other people, and just really be yourself, man. That's all that I would ever say to anybody is just, don't be in it to be like anybody else, because you're not going to be you're not going to be like the person that you worship or that you care so much about and you love all the things that they post everywhere. You're you. So, be happy with that. And, everybody has their own unique story, and that is something that I want to do with this podcast. So, if you are feeling down in the dumps, honestly, hit me up, and I would love to sit down and have a chat with you, not even on the podcast, but, if you feel like you are struggling with this social media generation that we are living in currently, and you're worried about the likes and you're worried about just a lot of these things, it's a struggle that we have to deal with now, and I think that it does take a toll on a lot of people's mental health, and I don't want that to happen to anybody because it is a real thing, and I think that we need to stomp the problem before it gets out of hand, really. So if you guys have anything that is going on negatively in your life that you feel like you need to vent, feel free to hit my Instagram DMs. My name is @neekrobinsonn. And on Twitter, it's @neekrobinsonn with 2 N's at the end of Robinson. You can also email me at neekrobinsonn with 2 N's at the end of Robinson @gmail.com. It'll be in the link in the description on the bottom of this video. So definitely hit me up on there, man, if you guys ever need anybody to talk to. And just to vent, man, if you guys are really struggling with anything in your lives, man, just know that I'm here to listen, and there are a lot of people out there that are willing to listen as well. So, don't feel like you're alone, because you're not alone in this world at all. There are people that are out there that care about you and about the person that you could be, and just about who you are as a person right now. So, like I said earlier, don't be worried about likes. Don't be worried about social media. It's the name of the game, and don't compare yourself to other people, because you're never going to satisfy yourself if you're going to keep comparing yourself to other people. Focus on yourself and just really be the best person that you can be. That's all that I'm going to say. I want to thank you guys for tuning into today's podcast. like I said earlier, these podcasts will be, so the next solo podcast will be going live in 2 weeks. Next week, I'm going to give you guys a little teaser. I have a creative that lives here in Des Moines, Iowa. He's actually my cousin. His name is Eli Fox. He is an all-around creative. He is majoring basically, not like in college, but like his big things that he's into right now is photo and video. So I'm going to get another photo and video guy basically on the podcast. His name is Eli Fox. Go check him out, guys. He is awesome. He is dope. Kind of get yourself familiar with him if you want to. Otherwise, we're going to dive into his story all the way next week. So hope you guys stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for tuning into today's podcast. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions for the podcast, any topics that you would like for me to talk about, or just anything. If you guys want to be on the podcast, go ahead and email me down below. My name is Neek Robinson with 2 N's at the end of Robinson at gmail.com. You guys can email me there. So feel free. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you feel like you would want to share your story on the podcast. I'm open to anybody. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be anything. Like, I want people that, are willing to come on here and to spit their truth. That's all that I want from people to be on this podcast, is just, I want to dive into anybody's story that feels like they want to share it. So feel free to hit me up and don't be scared. So thank you guys for tuning in to today's podcast. My name is Neek Robinson, and I will catch you guys in the next one. I am planning on trying to get these all live onto different platforms. So if you guys are big into like the audio engineering and all that stuff, you guys know a little bit about like the podcast apps, the Spotify's, and like the SoundClouds, and like how to upload them to all of those, I would love to link with you and kind of get that all figured out. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm out. Peace.
Real solitude all by yourself.
Dope.